So there was a Harvard Business Review study that said that when organizational leaders implement training as a means of professional development for their leaders or staff or their teams, that performance can literally increase up to right about 22%. However, when you add in coaching as a part of professional development on top of the training measure, then you can increase your team or your leaders or your staff's performance by up to 88%. Much more improvement that you will see when you begin to add coaching. So my friend, it is vitally important for you as the leader to build a coaching culture and identity. So you have to understand that it is your 12-month smartest vision that tells you, remember, your vision disciplines your performance. It tells you, here are the disciplines that I need in order to manifest and to come to life for you and your organization and the clients, customers that you're serving. If you want to lead transformational change, then you have to understand the disciplines that are required by the 12-month smartest vision. You have to coach your team on, here's how we're going to collaborate. Here's how we're going to conduct meetings. Here's how we're going to resolve conflict. All of these different measures require different disciplines. And when you establish these disciplines and coach your team, as I always say, you will move forward faster. I want to offer you our 3-part coaching framework. It's very simple. But before we talk about that, I have to kind of mention to you the fact of a previous lesson, the importance of offering your leadership as a gift. If you're going to coach your team through this transformational change, that's what this lesson is, coaching for transformational change. If you're going to do that, you have to always show up, making sure that your leadership is a gift for them. It's a gift for them. You, as their leader, you get to lead them to this 12-month smartest vision. So remember, as you are coaching them, always show up as a gift. Make sure your leadership is a gift. You're here to increase their performance, to help the team function and collaborate and work together more cohesively. And as you do that, the team is going to become more endearing to you and to the vision that they're pursuing collectively. And this is the power that enhances performance and productivity and brings greater quality work from everyone. Now, the first part of our coaching framework is to allow that team member or your direct leader to define and envision their main goal. So everyone has a part to play in achieving or driving toward that 12-month smartest vision. And you want to hear from your directs, from everyone in your team, and say, John, Jane, what is your goal for your department, for the project that you're working on? What is your goal for moving us toward that 12-month smartest vision? One of the questions that you can ask your team members or your direct leaders is, what are the goals that will have the greatest impact on our 12-month smartest vision? You want to give them ownership responsibility to set a goal that not only impacts their division or their department, but the whole, the entire team, the entire organization. They need to know that every single move that they make as a divisional department leader, it impacts not only what they're doing and their team is doing, but it also impacts the entire organization. And you want to make sure that they have responsibility for that. You want to make sure as they're setting this goal in place that there are measurements and metrics so that they know that they're on course, again, that they're following these disciplines and that they're on course to meeting their goal that's impacting the entire organization. Now, the second part of our coaching framework is to help your leaders develop a process and how they're going to overcome challenges. Now, you and I know very well that there's going to be some unforeseen incidences and obstacles that pop up, and you want to help them to the best of their ability to figure out how they're going to navigate these challenges. So you just don't want to have a plan that says we're going from A to B, but you want to ask them, be the devil's advocate and say, what would happen if X occurred? What would you do if this policy changed in our industry, which causes us to do things in a different way? So you want to make sure that there is a set process in place, as well as some type of strategy that will help them overcome foreseen and even unforeseen challenges if they arrive. Now, a couple of questions that you can ask is, what is your process for getting there? Very simple, right? Ask your team, what is your process for getting us there? How are you going to overcome this? What are you going to do if this happens? And another question is, how can we support you? It's one of the greatest leadership questions, and it's going to fire your team up, empower them, knowing that they have your support as well as the support of their team should they get stuck and need assistance. Now, the third and final part of our coaching framework is to help that leader develop action steps and firm commitments. Now, what do I mean by that? You want to ask them questions such as, what is the best way to get started? They have their goal, they have the processes in place, but you want to help them look at all of the different ways to get started and which action step will create the greatest momentum, get their team fired up, cohesively moving together toward the goal that they stated to you in the beginning. You also want to establish commitments. You as the leader need to know where every team member is in their process of moving toward the goal that they have set. You need to ask them, how do I know when you got there? How do I know when X has been complete? This way you're not emailing them every day and looking over their shoulder and making sure that they're doing it. You know by X date, you know at this particular time, John or Jane is going to have an email to me stating, I'm done, we've completed, or even we got stuck, we need help. What you don't want is people 3 months after they get stuck to finally have you come in their office and say, how are things going? And they say, well, we kind of got stuck 3 months ago, and you could have already helped them figure this out and navigate out of that problem and continue their journey toward that particular goal. You don't want to stall time. So it is very important that you establish firm commitments, knowing when they are going to have X done or said project completed. I know you've heard this statement before. It says, we don't rise to our vision. We fall to our disciplines. I don't care how great your 12-month smartest vision is. Your entire team, every leader can be enrolled into that vision, fired up, bought in, ready to go. If you do not develop the disciplines that are required to move you from point A to a successful point B, or where you are right now in your organization, and move you toward that vision, that 12-month smartest vision, then my friend, you're going to struggle. You're going to lose a lot of people. There's going to be dysfunction in your organization. There's going to be chaos, and you're eventually going to have silos, and people are going to maybe intentionally or even unintentionally begin to work against each other, therefore slowing the progress to your 12-month smartest vision. Now, the 7 ways to strengthen and support these disciplines in your organization. Number 1, you must have a policy. There's policy for so many things in organizations, except on how we show up and how we behave. You've heard of a sexual harassment policy. Well, that determines the culture and identity of how people approach each other and what they say to each other. There's a certain discipline, and people understand, because there's a policy, that this is how we show up. This is how we respond. So that discipline that supports your 12-month smartest vision, it must be backed by a policy. Now, second, there must be consequences. I found out a lot of organizations have policy, but they're not always backed by a consequence. Now, consequence is not good or bad. It is just a result. I want you to think about, here's the disciplines we need. Here's the policy that's going to back it up. Now, here are the consequences when you follow this policy or when you don't follow this policy. Now, the third way to support these disciplines is you must have accountability. You must be able to support each other, inspire and encourage each other to continue in that discipline. You also must be able to call each other out when they are not operating in that particular discipline. And my friend, as a leader, you have to give your team, your directs, permission to even call you out when you're not operating in that discipline, or even call you out maybe if you are allowing others to not operate in that discipline or operate less than that discipline. Let them hold you accountable as well. Now, the fourth way to support the disciplines is modeling. You and your team, your top-tiered executive team, must model those disciplines. And number 5 is coaching. Now, let me be clear on this. You cannot coach your team on the disciplines if you and your executive team are not modeling it. So you must coach them. Now, number 6 is consistency. You must consistently implement and execute these disciplines in the work. Remember, in the tyranny of the what, the lesson where we talked about the tyranny of the what, you operate from the who to the what, to the work that you actually do. So these disciplines become a part of the who, and you move these disciplines to what you do. You move them, and they should be embedded and inserted in everything that you do that's moving your organization toward your 12-month smartest vision. And the 7th way to support the disciplines in your organization is measuring. If you have ever watched track and field or any sports, they're always coaching each other and developing and training each other on certain disciplines to help them run faster or to perform at a higher level. So you need to measure to make sure that these are the disciplines that are moving you faster and more effectively toward where you want to go, which is your 12-month smartest vision. So as I close, I want to make sure that you understand, in order to coach transformational change, you first must establish the disciplines that are required for you and your leadership team to lead at the level of the 12-month smartest vision. And then compare that to where you are now. And then in between where you are now and where you need to be, you begin to talk about those disciplines. Hey folks, we need to start doing this. We need to stop doing this, or we need to change this and approach this in a more effective way. And then when you write that list down, it's up to you. Remember, the responsibility, the onus, the pressure even, I'm going to say that word, the pressure is on you as the leader to make sure that you are coaching your team to develop, establish, and uphold these disciplines. I'm believing in you. We'll see you in the next lesson.